What's next doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by chance. What's next happens when experience meets expertise, when data meets dollars, and when steel meets earth. What's next happens when the promising work of Pioneer state-of-the-art research centers meets the unsparing challenges of more than 17,000 on-farm trials. Our ultimate goal is to bring the next seed breakthrough to your fields, because Pioneer isn't just our name, it's our mission. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. Hey, thanks so much for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your work day, and a big shout out as well to everybody listening out there on the RealAg Radio podcast in Canada, the U.S., or beyond. It's great to have all of you here in this fun community we call Real Agriculture. Okay, it's the Farmer Rapid Fire here today, and it's brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. For more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges. With new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist E3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximizing your yield potential, Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. I want you to visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. Big thanks to Pioneer for being the show sponsor for the Farmer Rapid Fire here every Thursday. It is great to have you on board with us. Okay, here's the roster. Here's who we're chatting with this week. We've got Jenn Doelman coming out of Renfrew, Ontario. Peggy Brekveld is from Thunder Bay. We've got Jack Froese, who's in Winkler, Manitoba. And we got Jason Lenz, who's in Bentley, Alberta. A few of these farmers, I think, are going to be on the combine, so that's going to be a lot of fun. In the action kind of conversations, I love it. We're also going to be joined by Jenna Gregoire. She is a Pioneer agronomist who is an area agronomist, I should say, with Pioneer Seeds Canada in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. If you have any feedback on today's show, well, hey, the easy way to get a hold of us is you can email me, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can also find us across all the different social media channels as Real Agriculture. Make sure when you go to our YouTube channel, you subscribe as well. We just crossed 40,000 subscribers on that YouTube channel. So big thumbs up to everybody that already has done that. For the rest of you that haven't, please do. Just click subscribe on that YouTube channel. Or you can call the RealAg feedback line. That's an easy way to do it. You just dial 855-776-6147. You press the number 3 and you leave me a message, and it goes right to my inbox. You don't got to be live on the air and I'll be nervous and such and all that kind of stuff. You just phone and leave a message. It's pretty cool. It's kind of old school, leaving a voicemail. And that's a great way to engage here on the show. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to start east and move our way west, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it in the next hour. Let's get to it. You're listening to RealAg Radio. It's the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Does your N stabilizer contain an active ingredient load high enough to be agronomically effective? If not, it could be costing you time and money. If you're putting down a nitrogen stabilizer, put your trust in Koch Agronomic Services. Solutions like Super U, Tribune, and Anvil. Each delivers high active ingredient concentrations that low-rate products just can't match. Compare how imitator products stack up to agronomically effective solutions at defendyourn.ca.
It's time for today's product spotlight, and join me on the line, Tyler Gullen for New Farm. Tyler, it is time as harvest wraps up to talk about what we can do in the fall to save us some time in the spring. Number 1, what's on our list?
That fall spraying could really be a great start for next spring. And, in particular, if you can spray a soil residual product, Valterra or Fierce herbicides, they both provide up to 8 weeks of residual control next spring to control those tough weeds you have, if it's kochia, lamb's quarters, things like that, to really control them right as they emerge in the spring. You can apply them with just a regular sprayer, and you don't incorporate them. So it's a really nice option to really get that true single pass for fall spraying. And they do have a lot of cropping flexibility for next spring when you fall apply.
All right, where can producers find more information about Valterra and Fierce?
You can go to newfarm.ca/fall apply or give us a call at 1-800-868-5444.
And we start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, talking to Jenn Doelman of Renfrew, Ontario. Hey, Jen, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Shaun?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, no, I'm doing really good this week. Farm shows going on. You're not down there.
No, I was supposed to be there. I had appointments lined up for every day, but life happened. We aren't done canola harvest, and I'm participating in the Yen, like the Grain Farmers of Ontario Yen Challenge, and Joanna Ballings, the cereal specialist, really likes to remind us that you can't manage over good planting dates, and now is my ideal time to get that weed in. So we are focusing on the farm.
Duty calls. Hey, the farm's what pays the bills. So it really is. Yeah, isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get into like being like a wealthy inheritant or like an inheritor of like wealth, but I don't think that that's going to happen anytime in this lifetime.
Yeah, you and a lot of other people. Talk about the crops. How are things looking?
They're coming off okay. So the winter canola came off right at the same time as the winter wheat, which was stressful, but we got it all off and shipped. The wheat was a little bit above average. Nothing record, like nothing that anybody online would be impressed by, but above average for us. We're working at it. And spring canola is coming off, but it's disappointing. It's just over a ton, which I know for a lot of Western Canada, they would beg for that. So I really shouldn't complain.
Okay.
And then hopefully into beans soon.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on the soybeans?
I'm very optimistic. It rained a lot in August.
Ooh, that's a good sign. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Well, and I'm in Eastern Ontario, so it's like there are nightmares of white mold around here because good soil health means white mold risk. But we sprayed twice and we got our timing immaculate this year. So I've seen a little bit, but nothing overly concerning. And the corn is marching on. I know Wheat Pete's word, he's talking a lot about us being behind schedule, but I live in Renfrew County, so corn's a 4-letter word. So we keep very conservative on our heat unit. So I'm thinking we're just going to like keep coasting in here. Like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, as long as you're between the lines, you're good, right? It's still a goal.
Yeah. You'd like to grow a longer maturity corn, but the risks are there, right?
Well, it's a long way to truck garbage because I'm not very close to any end users and I don't want to own cattle. I love selling things to people who own cattle. So no, I'm going to keep that bushel weight low and nicely packed and not pay any more carbon tax than I have to.
Well, that's not what the Prime Minister wants you to do, though.
Well, I know that, but it's great. You know, the funny thing is he does realize that the more carbon tax he charges us, the less income tax we pay, right?
I really hope to see 234 get the royal assent here this fall. Really, we had actually John Barlow, Shadow Minister of Agriculture for the Conservatives, on the show on Tuesday. And, he's hopeful that this thing will get all wrapped up here early on in the session. And that's going to be a big deal for farmers from a grain drying and just cost of natural gas. That's going to be a big deal for a lot of farmers in a lot of different areas.
Well, we're nowhere near any natural gas locally, and my Nico dryer is supposed to show up next Wednesday, so I'm betting all in on this bill.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so talk about the dryer. What were you putting in?
We're putting in a Nico system. I don't remember the exact model number. My specialty is crops. My husband is the one who organizes the equipment. I married a machine tool builder and integrator, so I just let him look after that, and I manage the budget. But we'll be able to handle canola. And it's going to have a hopper system where we can receive wet because we're nowhere near it. There's not enough truckers in our area, and it's a really long distance to our end users, which thankfully we're lucky to be able to deliver to the St. Lawrence Seaway. But it's a 2.5-hour drive. So in peak season, truckers don't want to answer the phone when I call.
So
and
Jenn,
then we're going to have a dryer for the dry corn.
Okay, so you've mentioned in your area, as if it's kind of special, kind of different. Maybe there's not. We are
all kind of different. You know Lindsay and Chris, right?
Yeah, I do. Yes. But talk about the area and what you're farming, what is around you, and just you've referenced it a couple times. So I just want to make sure everybody in the audience understands what you're talking about.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you. So I'm in the Upper Ottawa Valley, which is a wonderful cross-section of beautiful, heavy clay and Canadian Shield. So, I'll have a 120-acre field that's gorgeous with no stones, and then a big, giant outcropping of bedrock. So we are this great little hidden part of the world where our crops are kind of like Western Canada. We're in a rain shadow from the Ottawa River, so we don't get the same level of moisture that a lot of our Southern Ontario counterparts get. Our seasons we get the same heat units as Guelph, but it's a full week shorter in crop heat unit or in growing season. And so we've got a wonderful diversity of dairy and beef and sheep and cash crop in our area. And none of us live near each other, and we have to go fairly far. And there's not a lot of investment, although there have been some elevators lately investing in the area, which is optimistic.
Now, you mentioned that the port is 2.5 hours away. That's kind of unique. Yeah. It just seems so foreign to somebody that's living in Western Canada, where we got to take it to the elevator. Right. It goes on a train, and then it makes its way all the way out to the coast. Not many people get to deliver straight to the elevator. That's kind of neat too.
But I also can't use a gravity wagon, right? There's no taking a gravity wagon like most farmers. I have to hire a trucker if it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. Canadian Shield is.
But again, we have outlet.
Right. The Canadian Shield is gorgeous. I was actually where was I? I was in on the Manitoba side. I was went to Kenora, right, just outside Kenora.
Yes, I was just going to say. I'm like, everybody talks about Kenora, so I'm assuming that's what you were meaning.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It really is. It's a great place to raise your kids and to grow up, and a tough place to farm. But they always say smooth seas don't make for skilled sailors. So I'm going on that.
I like that. Now, just from what is the soil like?
It's a very heavy, silty clay. So if you ever see those movies where there's a landslide and the entire house slips into the ocean, that's the kind of soil we have.
Okay.
So it's very good for making concrete, which many of my tilling neighbors are very good at doing. It's also why I'm no-till, not because I'm an environmentalist, although I kind of am, because we all have to worry about what kind of world we're going to leave Keith Richards, right? But besides that, I always try to manage drought. So if you do something wrong on our fields, you pay for it for 10 years.
Is it a really drastic transition from the Rock of the Shield to your field, or is there a rocky, uncomfortable mess in between?
Yes, that's the right answer. Yes, it depends.
Okay.
So you've heard of the new SWOT mapping, right? The soil, water, and topography.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So Paul Sullivan Agro, he's helped service this area, and he finds that in this area, that is the best possible tool a farmer could get. So I'm slowly getting them to do each farm every year, because I've got a 170-acre farm, of which probably a fifth of it is eroded clay knolls from back when they deforested this area. About 17 acres is 45% organic matter muck soil, and everything else is in between, except for the Rocky Ridge, which is really low in potash, and that's about another 10 acres. Just one field. So yes, it's a bit of everything. It's kind of neat. A lot of Mennonites have moved to this neighborhood, and so a lot of the farm that was the best soil, but full of stones and still stone fences where I couldn't get my equipment in, and I didn't want to get my equipment in there. Now they have hoop houses going, and they've got people coming up from the city of Ottawa to buy all their fruits and vegetables. So And then there's us bigger cash croppers right next to it. And then just down the road, we've got, beef farming neighbors that have a massive pasture system. So it's definitely not boring.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, Jen, all the best to you for the rest of harvest, and hopefully get a chance to run into you at one of the farm meetings during the wintertime. That'd be great. Looking forward to that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Shaun.
Maybe my new favorite line spoke here on the Farmer Rapid Fire is, we have to be conscious of the world we're going to leave Keith Richards. Yeah, he's going to outlive all of us. It seems to be. The Rolling Stones have a new album out, which is also mind-boggling. Okay, we've got more coming up here on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground. We are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
There's a reason we call it the Corn School. Videos on everything from planter setup, weed control, field trial results, yield strategies, and so much more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF, Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from RealAgriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest podcast today.
Looking for robust, reliable grain storage solutions? AGI leads the industry in quality, innovation, and offerings to protect your investment. Designed for exceptional cleanout, superior strength, and unbeatable versatility, you can rest easy knowing your grain is secure in an AGI West Steel bin. With 100 years of manufacturing experience, AGI West Steel bins will exceed your expectations for reliable storage. AGI West Steel. Long-term safe storage. Find AGI at your local dealer.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to Thunder Bay, Ontario. We're talking to Peggy Brekveld. Hey, Peggy, how's it going?
Very well.
Good. Well, it is Farm Show Week this week in Ontario, Canada's Outdoor Farm Show, happening down in Woodstock. You were down there earlier this week. How was the show?
Show was great. Tuesday was a little quieter, but Wednesday and Thursday is looking good. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So now you're the chair of OFA.
Yeah.
So you're down there shaking hands and talking to some of the members. What were you hearing from people?
Well, conversations about keeping up the good work on talking about protecting farmland and land use, etc. Conversations on veterinarian needs, etc. across the province, and a lot of conversations just about the weather, of course. That's our farmers' favorite topic.
Well, especially this time of the year. And, there is parts of Eastern Canada that have been hammered by just a lot of moisture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think in Ontario, the thing that seems to be everywhere in the province, including at home, is the fact that the crops are a little delayed, and I'm leaning into, not a meteorologist, but leaning into, I think the smoke has kind of stopped some of that photosynthesis that normally would happen. So everything's a little late everywhere, but we're hopeful still.
Yeah, a lot of farmers at the farm show talking about, hey, will that corn finish? Was that a big topic coming into the booth?
Yeah, concerns. And some regions, of course, in the Southwest in particular, they've had a lot of rain. So, yeah.
How are things back in Thunder Bay? How are the crops looking?
Crops are looking good. Barley has been taken off. Wheat is still coming very soon. Corn is on its way. It's a little bit delayed in maturity, but if possibility of frost this weekend, so we're kind of nervous about that. Ooh. Unfortunately, can't help it if it happens, but we're
crossing our fingers and saying a prayer.
Okay, if there's frost now, that is very, what would be some of the results that you would be impacted with there?
So we're not doing grain corn, we're doing silage corn. So all the dry down slows right down, and we would just have to wait a lot longer for that silage corn to be ready. But there's kernels in the cob. Cobs look nice, just not quite ready for that frost. So hoping we'll see what comes.
Yeah.
Can't fix it. Just got to deal with what comes after that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of out of your control, right?
Yeah. And the canola, a few people around the area have started swathing. So canola looks really good. That cooler weather, because of that smoke and a little bit of cloud cover, we certainly see a nice canola crop coming off. That's
a spring canola?
Yeah, spring canola.
Yeah. What kind of yield are you chasing there?
Oh, I'm not really sure, but I do know that, it flowered a little bit later, but the flowers kept going because we just didn't get the heat. And that's what you want with canola.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing for them.
Yep. Yeah, that extended flowering time is typically a good sign when it comes to yield, for sure.
Yeah.
When you were down at the show, what was your sense of the level of, I don't know, optimism or versus pessimism as it applies to farm profitability? Like, how are people? Like, what kind of sense did you get from people in terms of how they're feeling about how 2023 is shaking out?
There's a lot of caution in the big picture about inflation and about the interest rates, and had a couple conversations about concern on the way forward. Some will say to you, "Yeah, we've seen this interest rate and even higher before," and yet others know. And I think overall people know that it's a lot tighter, and many people have budgeted to cash flow. And when interest rates rise, of course, cash flow gets tighter. So, the crops, put that aside, just as farming in general, I think we're feeling the pinch.
Yeah, we didn't. I guess we possibly have not seen the end of the Bank of Canada raising those rates either. That seemed to be kind of clear last week, and though they did pause last Wednesday. On Tuesday's radio show, we talked to Justin Funk from RealAgriculture Studies, our market research arm, and we actually just did a survey on how inflation and rising interest rates are impacting farmers. And although there is less, the steepness of the concern about inflation compared to April of 22, where we did the same survey, has lessened. Overall, the bulk of the farmers are either somewhat concerned or extremely concerned, and the rest of the options were quite limited in terms of the numbers. So there is a lot of concern out there in farm country, not just in Ontario but across the country, as far as the impact of inflation on their farm businesses.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And for most small business owners, whether you're affected by it or not really depends on when your loans are maturing or at renewal date, right? And so you got more, as time goes by, more and more people are renewing, and the rate is that much higher. And it can make a significant difference on your monthly cash flow. And that I think everybody feels that. And costs are up.
Yeah, one of the I guess when we were doing our video for respondents, and Justin and I talked about it on Tuesday as well, is like we have to remember it's not just with interest rates going up, it's not just the concern about inflation, it's not just tied to the debt service cost. It's also how costs fit into the overall profitability equation, right? Revenues, there's a concern about revenues and farm income being lower in 2024. 23 probably is lower than 22. And the costs are up. A lot of talk right now about rising diesel fuel. Who knows what happens with fertilizer? It seems to bounce all over the place. And that math works out to profit or loss. And I think that's where a lot of this concern shakes out, is that margin compression and the opportunity to actually turn a profit.
Yeah, well, and that's about next year. And that overflow, that if I'm not profitable this year, how do I buy the inputs I need for next year? How do I finance that? And it can compound. In the end, we grow food for the world, and it's a beautiful thing. And yet we are still business people, and we still need to make a living. And profitability matters to farmers everywhere in this country.
Peggy, earlier you talked about protecting farmland, and I got to ask you now, what's happened with the Ford government and that controversy aside, what's your ask as OFA when it comes to air quotes protecting farmland? What are you telling them or asking from them on that?
We're not against building houses. Rural Ontario has housing needs too. We're not. We see value in ensuring that people can have a home. The thing is, if you want to feed the people that are living here, we also need to protect the farmland. And farmland's a limited resource. Let's do wise land use planning. Let's make sure that we're protecting those soils that grow the food that we will not only feed Ontario, but also Canada and export. Export is huge in Ontario and across this country. And so let's ensure that we can keep doing that. We're an economic driver. Even though our vote power is small, our economic punch is huge for the number of people in agriculture. And let's do this with wise, long-term land use planning strategy.
Peggy, really appreciate you joining us here today. All the best to you, and good luck with the rest of your harvest, okay?
Thank you. Take care.
We've got more of the Farmer Rapid Fire coming up here, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, right after this quick break.
Dedication. Watching the sunset over your crop is one of life's simple pleasures. The anticipation of it all. We know that feeling. Introducing our new Airflex NXT, our best honeybee header yet with the closest cut ever. Light, fast reacting, and infinitely adjustable. More yield, less time and work. Airflex NXT focuses on the future. What drives your next? Visit honeybee.ca or contact your nearest honeybee dealer.
The Advancing Women Conference, the National Leadership Conference for Women in Ag, is celebrating 10 years of bringing women in ag together. Whether you're a producer, student, entrepreneur, representative of grower association, or corporate agribusiness, invest in yourself in Niagara Falls on November 19th, 20th, and 21st. Visit advancingwomenconference.ca for more information and to register.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire into Winkler, Manitoba. We're talking to Jack Froese. Hey, Jack, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. Got me on the combining canola.
Ooh, I like it. This is like in the moment action stuff. This is live reporting. So, Jack, you're combining canola. What are you finding? Are you happy or sad?
The fields are on now. We got an extra few shots of rain, so we're happy with what's happening on this field. It wasn't quite the same a day or two ago when most of the stuff was running kind of 35, 40-ish maybe.
Okay, so it's pretty. So there's even on your own farm, there's some variables like variance out there.
Oh, very much so, and we never really got a general rain this spring. So we got showers in a couple of places that might have got an extra 3/4 or a half inch 2 times, and boy, the yield can be a difference of 15 bushels very easily.
Really?
Yeah, in canola, and we found the same thing to be true in wheat. Some of the wheat that didn't get the rains, like those extra few shots, is running 50-ish, and then where you had the extra maybe inch and a half of rain, you get an extra 15, 20 bushels.
Ooh. Even at today's wheat prices, that makes a big difference.
Big difference is right.
Okay. Now, you said you haven't had a lot of rain throughout the growing season. Post-harvest, is Winkler one of those areas that really needs a good shot of rainfall?
Oh, you bet. Our subsoil moist is gone. Topsoil is gone totally. Like some of the areas on our farm receive less than 3 inches of rain throughout the growing season.
Wow.
We were very dry.
So in some ways, you're probably, I don't know, I don't know, you tell me if I'm wrong here. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but reasonably happy about the yields you're getting given the lack of moisture you've had through the season.
Oh, very happy. Our expectations were very low, especially for something like a crop like canola.
Yeah.
And we're not sure where the soybeans are going to end up because they generally need rain later in the season to get a decent crop. But the wheat has fared fairly well, and so did some of the other cereals. But the canola is above expectations, and like I say, the expectations were fairly low.
Have you marketed much of the 23 crop, or have you been waiting to see what you got in the bin?
No, we generally wait till we see what we have in the bin for the most part. Odd time we'll maybe contract some edible beans or the like.
Now, so you said you've been doing that you've been waiting till it's in the bin for a while. So this isn't a 2021 hangover thing. This is something that you were doing pre-drought 21, just kind of waiting to see what you got.
You bet. We generally like to see what we have in the bin before we start a whole lot of marketing.
Okay, cool. Did you get away?
Old school.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
It says we're a little old school that way.
Hey, well, nothing wrong with being old school. I like to listen to classic rewind too on Sirius. Like we all got a little old school in us, Jack. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Have you been looking I'm just trying to get into the depths here. Have you bought any fertilizer for next year, or is this something you wait till later on?
No, we did buy some fertilizer about a month ago. The price had started moving up a little bit when we bought, but I haven't bought any phosphate or potash or anything else. We are soil testing as you speak, just to see what the kind of nutrient levels will be in the soil, especially with the lack of rainfall, whether the phosphate and sulfur levels might still be up there,
Do you soil test every acre, like every field every year, or do you take breaks in between, or it's every 3 or 4 years? What do you do?
No, we soil test every year. We don't necessarily soil test all the fields, but all the major pieces of ground get soil tested, and then you might have some area, like we're in an area where there's a smaller field, so you might lump a couple of them together for testing, so that you have an area that you've tested instead of every specific field. But generally, most of them do get soil tested.
And are you doing any? We were just talking to a farmer from Eastern Ontario, and they were talking about how they were I think the product they were using was SWOT maps. They were doing some VR stuff. Are you doing any of that, or what are you doing there?
We do a little bit of that, but it's more a generalization that we use it for. And I actually have quite a unique story on this whole soil testing. We had a landlord that passed away on us, and then the son took over, and he invited me to his office. He says, "Jack, why should I rent you my land?" And I was taken aback. I thought we'd just go in and sign another 4-year contract. And so I was trying to think of what we had done to the land that he should rent me the land. I couldn't think of anything, and then I said, "I'll come back in a day and I'll tell you." So on my way home, I was thinking crop insurance records, what have you, and all of a sudden I thought, we had started soil testing that land the year that we had rented it the first time. I went home, pulled out my soil test for 15 years, laid them out, and 5 minutes later I went back to him and I said, "This is why you should rent me your land." I had all my soil tests. The nutrient levels were up, the organic matter was up, and I said, "And if you don't rent me the land, you should pay me for the improvements I made." It was quite something, I never thought of it that way until you do all these things, but you don't necessarily know why you're actually doing them until something like this comes along, and then you realize, man, this was a good exercise.
Wow, there's another lesson in all of that too, Jack. It's a great story. It's not only the fact you did those things, it's the fact that you had the records and they were accessible so you could actually prove and tell the story, right?
Exactly.
That's a big difference too.
Oh yeah, for sure, and especially when you're thinking organic matters and stuff like that. The pHs on the soil had slightly dropped. We were area which has quite high pHs, and so yeah, all in all, it's a very good story to tell.
I think that kind of I think it's going to become more common. I do like. There's like the transactional. There's always going to be people that are very transactional. It's like, listen, I'm renting it to the highest bidder no matter what.
Right.
But I think as people become more aware of some of these other factors, I think there's going to be more of that where it's like, and it probably is a lot of this already, but like written directly into the rental agreement as far as like, maintaining FERT levels and all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to become important to landowners.
For sure, especially the way costs have gone, So it does definitely make a difference, and especially if you're looking at renting land and if you're looking at the nutrient level, stuff like that, it can make a big difference for sure.
And for the renter, there's some leverage there too, in the sense like, okay, listen, like I'll make the improvements, but it's got to be longer than a 2-year agreement.
Exactly right, and that is so true. I mean, if you're going to do all the drainage and do the nutrient level thing and what have you, you will want a 4 or 5 year contract because you do all the improvements, and then the land, the neighbors might be interested, right?
Okay, you said you're a little old school. I love that. I appreciate that, by the way. And you can tell me to bugger off if you want, but I'm just curious. Do you rent any land where it's a handshake?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, it's getting to the point now where you just for safety's sake, you kind of make contracts and everything, but those things still do exist.
I like it. You know what? That's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially if there's trust that binds, then it's probably more solid than anything written on a piece of paper. Except if your name is Jerry Maguire. If you remember that movie, that didn't work. My word is solider than oak, kind of thing. But,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Jack, did you get away at all this summer?
We did get to the lake for several different weekends, and I was going to go to the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois, but I never did get away, and couldn't get a room out there. Or else I love going to farm shows and checking out the latest. Well, we did do some coverage from Farm Progress Show at RealAgriculture.com, so I guess that'll be have to be your second choice. You can check out some of the videos. You betcha. Hey, Jack, I'll let you get back to Combine and get that thing fired back up and get some of those acres into the bin. Really appreciate it. You betcha. Thanks, Sean. We'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
At Brett Young, we focus on what's real. It's how we became Canada's largest independent seed company. That's why we're asking a real farmer, what do you think of BY6217TF, Brett Young's TrueFlex Canola Hybrid? What's that? BY6217TF, Brett Young's TrueFlex Canola Hybrid with Pod Defender shatter reduction technology and Defender-rated clubroot and blackleg resistance. Good yield, yeah. Probably choose it again. Thanks, Chris. Talk to your Brett Young retailer today to see for yourself. Brett Young, distinct by design.
Introducing the all-new Xerion 12 Series tractor by Kloss. Redesigned from the ground up to redefine the high-capacity four-wheel drive market. With 653 max horsepower, industry-leading hydraulic flow, a silky smooth CVT, a powerful TerraTrack undercarriage, and a quiet, comfortable cab with 20% more legroom. More than just power. The all-new Xerion by Kloss.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire to Bentley, Alberta, where we're talking to Jason Lenz. Hey, Jason, how's it going?
Real good, Sean. Yeah, just kind of in the middle of harvest here, and went from getting our barley done to first field of wheat, so everything's going good.
Okay, so operations are going good. Are yields okay?
Yeah, they're doing pretty good in our area, Sean. Our barley was a big surprise. One of the best barley fields that we've ever harvested, to tell you the truth. We grow both Strish feed barley and Churchill malt barley, and the Churchill was a big surprise. It was, I hate to say the number because I know some guys have had really bad drought years, but we're looking at 115 bushels on this Churchill. So big surprise for us, for sure. A good surprise.
Yeah, well, honestly, let's celebrate some wins too. It can't just be all bad news around here. So, what, like you said, it surprised you. What were your expectations? What did you think it was going to do?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was doing fungicides in early July, because things were really dry around here through most of June, I thought probably 25% of our yield would be cut because of that drought. But at fungicide timing, I was in the field at maybe 20-30% heading, and obviously there's more potential there than what I've seen from the sprayer cab. So
yeah, you're in that that band of red deer there, where hail is no stranger to you. Did you avoid the storms this year?
Yeah, must be living partially right this year. Anyway, Sean, we missed the bad storm about 2 miles south of us right at the end of June, but no hail this year, and that's like you said, in this area, that's a bit of an oddity because we always seem to get a little bit, but just got a lucky year this year. So
you need to go buy a lotto ticket too. You're on a roll, my friend.
Sometimes things go right, Sean.
So right now you're sitting on the combine. Do you do the majority of the combining?
Yeah, on our farm, I'm kind of the combine operator, and it probably more has to do with the technology in these machines. My dad isn't real comfortable with that technology, so I'll tell you that 115 bushel Churchill field kept him busy as a grain trucker. So he does a great job at that for being 77 years old sitting in the seat. So pretty lucky to have him around.
There's I know family helps out with seeding time and planting, but there's something special about family working together at harvest. Like it's the same land, same family, same equipment, but the harvest is just different. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. It's that time of year where you get to kind of enjoy all the hard work you put into the crop, and years like last year when harvest weather was so ideal, made it really enjoyable, and so far we're off to a good start here this year with weather, and it's an enjoyable time of year because you do get to work closely with that family, and we haven't had our meal in the field yet, but we got one planned for tomorrow, and those are always special times too.
I was just going to ask you about that. That's one of the good things about social media is people sharing photos like that of meals in the field. So I'm glad to hear you kind of keep up some of those traditions.
Yeah, no, it's something that especially now I got grandkids around. They think that's pretty cool.
Those are memories, right? That's what it's all about. Remember that time we were eating in the field with Grandpa and all that? Yeah, absolutely. That is so cool. Do you get some? You're driving combine. They have a buddy seat. Do you get some passengers once in a while?
Actually, I got a very special passenger here with me today, Sean. Someone you might know, Rosie from Alberta Grains. She's our research and extension specialist. She came out for a combine ride, and she's sitting here beside me and asking lots of questions. So always nice to have a little bit of company during these long days.
Absolutely. Okay, here's the important question. Did she bring snacks?
You must have been spying on me. She brought a nice box of Timbits for sure. So.
Oh, those are the best combine passengers. Absolutely. Well, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that Rosie was sitting right there. That's fantastic. So, okay, so we're getting the crop in the hopper, in the bin. That's going well. What's your thoughts on crop marketing? Have you marketed any of this crop? Clearly you got some crop to sell. Have you done any of that yet, or are you waiting until harvest is over?
We primarily wait till harvest is over, Sean. And, the hail risk that we have is probably the primary reason for that. In saying that, all the malt barley that we grow has already been contracted. So that's looked after through Canada Malt. But our wheat and canola, we primarily wait till it's very close to harvest time, or we have it in the bin before we do a whole bunch of forward contracting.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on what's happening here right now? Do you have any thoughts on any direction that you're sort of biased in either way?
Yeah, I I think, honestly, Shaun, I think prices will probably stay pretty strong for this year, considering the drought that we've seen in Western Canada. I have heard from different farmers, both in my area and throughout Western Canada, that the yields that they do have are surprisingly good, in particular on their cereals. But then at the same time, I have good friends in Southern Alberta, one who I talked to on Monday, and he's harvesting a dryland wheat crop that was only yielding 15 to 20 bushels per acre. So that's, every year there's areas that are dry, but I think this year the drought-stricken area is a pretty large area. So I know the one hail adjuster that was out in our area here doing some neighbors, he'd been adjusting crops for 32 years, he said, throughout Western Canada, and he called this the worst drought he's seen in his 32 years of adjusting crops. And going back, I think he said 1986, this is a comparable year to 86, so that's quite a long time ago, but not a good news story for sure. So I think that's part of my reasons for being optimistic on pricing. That's I think we probably got at least one more good year ahead of us as far as crop pricing.
I live in Southern Alberta. I'll tell you, I can confirm there's dry does not describe what it's like. Yeah. So you're bang on right there for sure. Hey, quickly before we wrap up, you're chair of Alberta Grains. And Vice chair. Sorry about that. Vice chair of Alberta Grains. What's something you guys are working on right now that's the audience needs to hear about?
Well, as you know, we've successfully completed the amalgamation that we had going on between Alberta Barley Commission and Alberta Wheat Commission. That went over very well, and we had August 1st as a timeline. So there was a lot of work put into that by the two boards and our staff, and we're pretty proud to be at this point, to be a single organization representing wheat and barley farmers. So that was big step one. Now we're kind of planning for the year ahead. We just had a research committee meeting, and the wheels are turning there, and it's kind of an exciting time. They're planning for our upcoming Prairie Cereal Summit in Banff in December, and then also our first AGM as a new organization that'll happen at the Crossroads Conference in late January. So always lots going on at the Alberta Grains office, and like I said, we're pretty happy as a new board to be at the stage we're at. So
yeah, great stuff, and congratulations again, that merger. Like that has not been a quick thing, and it's not no fault. It's a process. I actually did not know the process that you have to go through to just do an amalgamation of two farm groups. So good on you for having the intestinal fortitude to push that through. Hey, so great to chat with you, Jason. Really, really appreciate it. Good luck with harvest, okay?
Thanks a lot, Shaun. Good hearing from you.
And we wrap up this week's Farmer Rapid Fire here on this Thursday with our sponsor of the show, Pioneer Seeds Canada. And we're talking to Saskatchewan area agronomist Jenna Gregoire, who is based out of North Battleford. Jenna, how's it going?
It's going awesome, Shaun.
Hey, are the combines rolling in your area?
They are. It's been a beautiful week, and forecast looks good. So guys are really munching the acres this week.
And I'm hoping for a good answer here, but are we happy? Is it meeting our expectations, or is it a big disappointment?
I would say overall, guys are happy with how things are coming. I think they were kind of anticipating the worst with how the summer went, but I would say that they are, for the most part, pleasantly surprised. I would say above average for most things, and then it really just mattered where you hit that thunderstorm lottery for rain this year.
Yeah, there's big geographies this year where they're saying the same thing. It's that weather lottery. Did I get it or didn't I get it? And it could be 2 miles away they did, where I am they didn't, or vice versa. It just, once again, reinforces that hard to grow a crop if you don't got any rain.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's still some freak thunderstorms happening, and some guys got hail on the weekend. So, I mean, it continues, right?
Hail? Really? we're kind of outside the hail window. That's really too bad.
Yeah, that wasn't a call that I wanted to have to take Sunday morning, but it's not common, but apparently it happens. It was just a small storm that went through, but in some areas there was about 50% damage on some canola crops, so that's not fun. You thought you were over that, and you didn't want to have to relive it after, the summer that some guys had for sure. So, yeah, yikes.
The agronomy lords just take it out of your hands at the very last minute.
Yeah, no doubt. A punch in the gut if I've ever...
As they would say in the UK, I'm gutted for that farmer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things we want to chat about here today is, we are combining. It doesn't hurt to get off that seat and do some fall checks. What should we be checking for?
Absolutely. So I think it's, guys are getting stiff sitting in the combine anyway. So I like to tell guys, get out, take a walk around, go and check that stubble out there. And there's a few things that they should be keeping their eye on. So number one is plant stand. Everybody sets their seeder in the springtime, and a lot of them forget to come back and see what actually came up. So it's awesome. You've cut it down, take a look, see what your final plant stand was there, and see if you need to change things for next year. And another big thing to look out for is disease. So, our canola hybrid package, there's a lot of different things that we're offering with Pioneer Hybrid, and one of them is Sclerotinia resistance. And now is a great opportunity to take a look at that stubble and see if there was any disease in there or not. And then, you can take that information and better make your hybrid selections in the fall when guys are starting to ask, what you'd like to put down next year.
And diseases we're looking for, blackleg, verticillium, are there others?
Yep, blackleg, verticillium. Verticillium's a hot topic. We just recently found it actually in Northwest Sask. So
really?
Before. Yep, we just had some confirmed results from the lab in Manitoba. So that's definitely a hot button up here. And then the other one, of course, is just Sclerotinia as well for guys to look for.
Okay, now on the plant stand one, and I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but an important piece of this is not just to do the count, but compare it back to what you intended, or
absolutely.
Right, and also what emerged. Run through the course of the growing season with that, and run the comparisons. Right.
Absolutely, I know a lot of guys have in their mind that my drill's the best. I'm getting 90% survivability, or they're using old numbers and they think they're still getting 70%, and their plant stand is way higher than what they were targeting. So. Absolutely. Comparing it back and making those adjustments for in the springtime is, Shaun, you hit it bang on. That's exactly right.
Well, I'm an agronomist in training. I'm doing this job long enough that eventually I may get my certificate. But
perfect. I love that.
Maybe don't hold out hope of that. But So, as you're talking to growers in your area, how are people feeling about where are we at from a moisture standpoint heading into fall for that territory around the Battleffords?
Well, I'm careful to ask that question to many guys because we've recently had quite a few rain showers come through. That's, of course, delayed harvest. For the most part, though, everybody's pretty welcoming to some rain showers. So it's definitely replenished that soil a bit. I mean, it's not where we need to be. We still need a big snowfall and hopefully some more fall rain.
Absolutely.
But we've had about 2 inches since harvest has started, depending on the area. So that's definitely helped replenish the soil there.
Is there much winter wheat in that area?
Not really. No, there used to be a little bit more, but for the most part, guys have kind of veered away from it. So not much fall seeding happening.
It's a beautiful area. It really is.
Yeah, lots of trees, lots of lakes.
Good hunting.
Good hunting, yeah. Quite a few moose by plot travels, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's I was actually talking to a farmer a couple weeks ago. They're like, "Oh, how's harvest going?" "Oh, good. I'll easily be done in time for hunting season." So it's
priorities.
You gotta have your priorities. So, hey, Jenna, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us here. We appreciate Pioneer Seeds Canada being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio on every Thursday. All the best to you, and we'll chat again with you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Shaun. Appreciate that.
If you have any feedback on today's show, we'd love to hear from you. Send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can also call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776 6147. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio. And a big shout out as well to our show sponsor, Pioneer Seeds Canada. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. Cheers, everybody.